Our speaker is Lynda Baker. The title of her presentation is Mirror, Mirror, Reflections on How We Show Up. She is the president and founder of the Austin, Texas-based consultancy Meeting Solution and a leader in the field of group process consultation and meeting facilitation. A certified professional facilitator, she is skilled at conducting both small and large groups of passionate stakeholders who are addressing complex issues and need to produce actionable results. She has worked for the state of Texas, the McCombs Graduate School of Business, several colleges throughout the U.S. She holds a BA from Stony Brook University, a master's degree in education from the University of Illinois, and is an adjunct professor at St. Edward's University. I give you Lynda Baker.
So how many of you have found the job search process to be like a really confidence-boosting experience? How many of you, how many of you would say, not so much? How many of you are saying, why is she asking us this question? Yeah, I haven't found it to be really an inspiring experience. And that's why I was really delighted to be asked to come and speak today. First of all, I want to express my appreciation to the Job Club, because this is a real powerhouse. This is a gold mine. Everybody who's sitting in this seat, there's like loads of experience, talent, passion, great things out here. And we don't always feel like there are great things out here when we're trying to hustle and sell ourselves to people. So I want to talk more about that today. So I appreciate and welcome you all. Just by way of introduction, Kathy mentioned that I'm a meeting facilitator. How many of you have ever worked with a professional meeting facilitator? Anybody? How many of you have never done that? And how many of you are not really even sure what they do? So, because productive meetings don't happen by accident, I help people get accomplished together what none of them can get accomplished alone. And that's what we're going to do today. With the help of the people who are sitting here. So I'm not really your speaker today. I'm really your facilitator, because I know that there's a lot more wisdom in the room, even though I'm incredibly smart. There's a lot more wisdom in the room, and I'm from New York. So people in New York think that they're smart, even if they're not. Not you, of course, but I know there's a lot of wisdom in the room. So what I'm going to ask is some help from my colleagues, and Kathy's already ready to go here. She's going to I want you to take one copy of what's coming that end from Kathy, and then Shannon, are you in the room? Is there a good, you look like a really good handout expert. Jim, would you send these this way at each row, just give a chunk to each, and take two of them. So if they're coming from your right, take two. If they're coming from your left, just take one. So here's another hint. If there's just one person on this handout, take one, and if there are two people on the handout, take two. If you can accomplish this task right now, there will not be a door prize.
This is our first test.
This is your first test. And this is for my friend from New York. Let's see how smooth I can do this. So you were looking at different qualities. There are lots of different qualities that we all have, we bring to the table. And we're often looking at sharing this information with prospective employers, right? What are people looking for? They're looking for your aptitude, your experience, your behaviors, lots of these things, right? And we're all looking to tell people, how are we going to show them in the future, set these goals in the future? Or how many of you have a bucket list? How many of you just have things you want to do in the future? At some point, I'd like to, okay? I just picked up this magazine recently, and it reminded me exactly about what we're going to be talking about today. It's a British magazine. It's called Breathe. I'm not selling it. But what I loved about this first article, and I'm not going to read the entire article, don't get worried. It's called The Reverse Bucket List. So I want to give you just a few sentences to help you think about what we're going to be talking about today. Under pressure to set new goals and make more dreams come true, give yourself a break. Acknowledge what you've already achieved. Now, if I had my glasses on for this part, this probably would be much easier. It will glare in the video, but it will enable me to read this next sentence. Life is often so focused on the what's next that it's easy to forget just how much you've already accomplished. While it's good to plan for the future and achieve those bucket list goals, it's also important to recognize your achievements and acknowledge special moments you've already experienced. So with that, what I'd like to do is ask you to think about an experience that you have had in your life that you were incredibly proud of. I want you to think about something you accomplished, perhaps in your professional life or your personal life. Something that you did, you participated in, you were part of, where you really felt energized. You really felt like, this is really great. I am really excited that I'm involved in this thing. So I'm just going to look around the room. I want to know if you can think of an example. And I'm not going to be calling on anyone to tell us about that. I just want to make sure that you all have something in your mind. And if you don't, I'll give you a few more prompts. So can everybody think about some experience over the course of their career or their life? It can be the time it doesn't have to be the time I led a team across the Sahara Desert. It doesn't have to be that. It could be when you remodeled your bathroom. It could be something like that. So can everybody think about some event, some activity, some experience that you really were energized by? So could you just like nod your head? Somebody out there, please nod your head so that I know. Okay, okay. Because the whole rest of the next half an hour depends on you coming up with something. On your sheet of paper where there's just one head, one person, that's your sheet. And you will keep that sheet. I want to ask you to just jot down on that piece of paper a couple of bullet points if you were going to tell the story to another two people, which you will be doing in a moment. Jot down 3 to 5 bullet points of what you want to be sure to include in this little story you're going to tell them. Okay? If I'm successful, I will put on some music to do this vibe, but I may just ask you to, this is a silent activity, and ask you to just spend about, I'm going to ask you to spend about 2 to 3 minutes to just jot down a few things, and then in a moment, I'll give you your next piece of instruction. So go ahead, and I will do my best to not talk during this period of time that I just suggested was a silent activity. Something that you did, something that you were involved in, some experience that you had where you felt really proud, accomplished, successful, excited. It could be the birthday party you threw for your 5-year-old, but you're going to tell it in elaborate detail, or as much elaborate detail as you can tell someone in 3 minutes, because you're going to be telling in 3 minutes, okay? So here's your job. I'm going to ring a bell in 3 minutes. And now you're wondering, what's that other card for? While this one, where's the number 1 over here? So while the number 1s are telling their story, the numbers 2s and the 3s, I want you to think about every possible thing that you can tease out of that story that shows what this person's abilities, talents, impact, behaviors, attitudes, values, what are all the things that they're telling you that give you an indication of things that are marketable about them? What is an asset? How many of you had that experience where people say, you're really good at, and you think, really? You think I'm good? And then you think, yeah, I am kind of good at that. That's what this is. So I want you to tell your story in as much detail as possible for 3 minutes. So you need to talk like a New Yorker, or just like a Northeasterner, like as if you're from Texarkana. And the other 2 people, I want you on your sheet that has the 2 people, which looks like this. This is where you're going to write down those things, because what's going to happen after you write them down? You're going to quickly, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to tell the person and then hand them the sheet. So if you need any other additional sheets, these are not going to be spell checked. Don't worry about them. You can draw a picture. But this is the place where you give them feedback, okay? Number 1s, are you ready? 3 minutes, go. Your storytelling time is over. However, your feedback time is now beginning. So your partners have 3 minutes. So one partner, look at your watch. Watch your watch as the other person talks. Give each other about a minute to give the person feedback. Tell them what you heard, and then hand them their cards, and I'll ring the bell, and then it will be number 2's turn to tell their story. Okay? Everybody understand those instructions? Okay, go. So, what were some of the qualities that you either teased out of the stories or that you heard? Anyone? Perseverance. What else? Heart. I should use the red one for that, right? What else?
She got sales and marketing out of mine. Connections.
What was that one?
Connections. Problem solver.
Pardon?
Problem solver.
Okay. You get the idea? Number 2. Start your conversation right now. Go. Okay. As we all know, third time's a charm. But before the third person goes, let's just hear a couple of, let's try to get this to stop. Right. Let's hear a couple of the things that you heard this last round. What was patient perfectionism. Love that alliteration. Pragmatic. Lots of P's here. Aberration. Oh, cool. You are really aberrant. We definitely know you'll fit in here. Collaborative. Okay, what was the other one? Integrity. Empathy, measurable achievements, entrepreneurial, sensitive, sense of adventure, as well as a sensitive adventure, sense of adventure, leadership, humor, black hat, I think I should probably do that in black, right? Black hat thinking, what does that mean?
It's when you're trying to kick the tires and you look at things from all angles to see what could go wrong, what could happen. So you're coming at it more from the devil's advocate side.
It's kind of like the, and why is that, and why is that, and why is that? It's sort of somebody able to really dig deep or look at things in different angles.
It's part of the 6 thinking hats.
6 thinking hats, Edward de Bono. Any other qualities you want to be sure to, yes? Goal-oriented. Okay, so now, third, courage. You know, I really like the courage one because although mirror, 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 mirror is from the one fairy tale, courage, brains, and heart. Where's that from? The Wizard of Oz. I almost wore my red ruby slipper pin today. Because those three qualities, you should be thinking about weaving them all in. All of those three qualities, as you now listen to the last speaker, courage, brains, and heart. That has to do with behavior, attitudes, competencies, thinking. Those are very strong embracing qualities. So thank you for bringing up courage. The third person, if you think that you got good feedback, the first two people now, or the third person has been waiting to tell their story, now you've got, there's a chance. Now you have two very experienced people with a sense of adventure, people who might be humorous, hopefully not too perfectionistic, about to give you some empathy and listen to your story. Third person, start your story. Can I have your attention up front? Were you really involved in such an interesting conversation that you could not refocus? That's a good thing. So tell me, anybody, what was it like either hearing other people's stories, hearing feedback, or telling your story? What was it like? Anybody?
Very positive.
It was positive? Say more about it. Why was it positive?
It was inspirational, and it was encouraging, and it also added confidence.
Good.
Okay, so it gave you some confidence. Somebody else, what was it like for you to hear the stories, tell the stories, or get the feedback? Yeah.
I see that we really have value.
You should have had a V8. Yeah, of course. Yes, ma'am.
It's really interesting to watch people when they're really into something, and you know, she's called it sparkling eyes, but how their eyes light up, and you can just tell they're really into it. They have a passion for something, and then on the other side of it, you're the one listening, and that people are actually listening to what you have a passion for versus waiting to think of the next thing they're going to say.
Yeah.
So when you're really engaged, when you're really talking about something that you're excited about, you know that other people are not thinking, when's my turn? Yeah. Yeah, in the back.
It was really fun to listen much deeper to what they were saying, not just the theme or the story or the details, but really trying to elicit a much deeper, like a value. It was a very different type of listening.
How many times do you think when you're in a job interview and someone's asking you a question and you're saying one thing, that they're doing exactly that kind of listening? So how much value does it give you insight into to be talking with passion and being genuine and authentic? Yeah. Other experiences, what it was like. Yes, sir.
I think this is part of the thing. What I got feedback on is things that I tell people I can do in job interviews because I think, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be good at. But they were saying, yeah, it sounds like you're good at collaborating and you're good at teamwork. And I'm always thinking, well, am I really good at that? So to hear somebody else say, I heard that, it's good because it's hard, it's good to think I want to be authentic, but to really be authentic, you have to be real. It has to be something you're really good at.
So one of the things that points to is the value of telling stories and having a story. The other thing, as somebody who's been doing this work for many, many years, when I would meet with managers and they would say, I want people to feel engaged. I want them to feel engaged. I want them to feel like they have ownership. And I said, well, do they actually have ownership, or you just want them to feel as if they... Anybody have that experience? So how can we really be authentic in telling stories, not only in our job search, but as we move on, once we get those jobs? Being authentic is a real, one of the keystones of, the cornerstones of being an authentic leader. Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things I find is like a lot of times people will be like, tell me about yourself. And sometimes it's just hard to find words to tell people about yourself. Our own ability to reflect on our own qualities is I think, challenging. But like if somebody says, well, tell me a story, I feel like that's much easier. You can tell a lot. And in this process, there was so much we learned about the other person.
So the gift of what, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in the story, there was so much more conveyed in the storytelling about who the person was versus somebody saying, hey, tell me about yourself.
So the gift in that contribution is the next time somebody says, tell me about yourself, you can say, you know, I think telling you this little story about something I did probably really tell you a lot about myself. Yeah. But I want to pull something else out. What was it about telling your story that might have been either very easy or very difficult? What about this experience was either very easy or very difficult? Yeah.
We don't really, I don't know the two ladies that I had to share something about myself with.
Mm-hmm.
So you're stepping out, and, you know, with the hope that they're going to be kind. And they were extremely kind, and are extremely kind people, obviously. So they said nice things about me.
So did they say nice things about you, or did they say honest feedback about you? So I want
It
to.
turned out to be both. It was
Well,
nice.
so that what that tells you.
They were honest.
Well, what we were trying to do is not necessarily, and this is a real key. I think Kathy brought up getting feedback from colleagues. And I'll sort of give you one piece of this that I think connects back to what Kathy shared and what you're sharing and sort of this whole job search process. Many years ago, I was in a workshop called Powerful Presentations. And there were lots of techniques that they taught you. It was a 3-day program. It was real intensive. And on the 3rd day, they had all of us line up. And half of the people in the audience, half of us were up. And they said, of all those people in the lineup, which one of these people would you want to take home to your mom? Which one of these people, just based on their appearance, would you want to be on a desert island with? Which one of these people would you like to be the CEO of your company? And of course, you're up there shaking your knees, but it's the day 3, so you have some relationships with people, but you're hoping that people are going to say, oh, I want you to come home to my mother after we spent a weekend on a desert island, and then you can be the CEO of my company. But you know what? That's not the way, well, that's not the way I was perceived. One guy wanted to be on a desert island with me. Well, that was kind of disturbing. I mean, I was very flattered by that one guy. But the truth is that whether we know it or not, people are making those assessments all the time. So what better way to get feedback on your interviewing, your resume, your appearance, than with a group of people who are in your community, who are here to support you. So I want to underscore taking advantage of this use of a mirror to get reflections back to you by people who are going to be kind, but sometimes, you know, people say, well, there's no such thing as a bad idea. I'm here to tell you, I facilitated hundreds of meetings in the last 25 years. Some ideas are not so good. And it's a good thing when somebody says, that really big hat with the flowers, I don't think it's going to go over well at an interview. It's okay to give people feedback if you are open to getting it. So I want to thank you for making that comment about this isn't necessarily about being kind, but the truth is so many of us have accomplishments. We don't need to make a bucket list of the future. Many of you have lots of accomplishments. And every day in our world, sometimes it's really easy to just look at the half-empty glass. But heck, all of you came out today, and I've been there, I've done that. You're here today, right there, we're saying, you're like go-getters because you're like going to get it. And you're going to get it, but I want to encourage you to take advantage of one another to support each other because your best friends are sitting right on either side of you.